CTV News at 5 with Hudson Mack.
3 people were rushed to the hospital in Saanich this morning after a BC Transit bus crashed into a car. Saanich police had to shut down Quadra Street just north of Mackenzie for about an hour as they cleaned up the accident scene. 2 passengers on the bus and the woman driving the car were taken to the hospital suffering minor injuries. Police say the driver of the car was trying to make a left turn, pulled into traffic, and the driver of the bus couldn't stop in time.
The vehicle wanted to make a left turn onto one of the apartment complex here on Quadra. The vehicle made a turn right in front of an oncoming bus on the southbound lane. The driver of the bus was not able to stop on time and struck the vehicle when it was about to enter the parking lot.
We had a pretty light load on the number 6 bus. There were 10 to 15 passengers on board, and we did have another bus brought in to pick up the rest of this route. So we expect that our passengers along the way waited an extra 8 minutes, and our apologies for that, but this was an unforeseen circumstance.
The woman driving the car was taken to Victoria General Hospital suffering head injuries. The bus was not drivable. It had to be towed away on a flatbed truck. Nobody's been charged. Police say the cause of the crash is still under investigation. An entire floor of Victoria General Hospital was evacuated last night after nurses detected an unusual odor. Fire crews from View Royal and Colwood evacuated the 5th floor of the hospital's North Tower, moving about 30 people out of the area. Some staff on the floor reported suffering eye irritation and redness. A room on the floor above was being stripped, and the chemical being used to clean it made its way into the hospital's ventilation system.
It subsequently became clear that what the smell was a stripping compound which had been used to strip a floor before waxing in a room on the 6th floor. And because of the way the airflow works in this building, the air recirculates within the building. And so that air got recirculated to the 5th floor. We've had it checked out by the fire brigade. They've done testing on the air. They've given it a clean bill of health.
Vic General's ventilation can be manually controlled, and that allowed staff to circulate new fresh air into the system. The fire crews ran tests to ensure the air was safe before anyone went back onto the floor. None of the patients was affected. A new warning tonight about an underground tattoo industry that may be posing some serious health risks. A CTV News investigation has now prompted the Vancouver Island Health Authority to shut down an unlicensed tattoo parlor in Langford. The investigation was launched after a complaint from an angry mother who says her 14-year-old daughter was tattooed by an unlicensed basement operator. City bylaws say you have to be at least 16 to get a tattoo in Victoria, but that didn't stop one girl who had a Chinese character tattooed on her hip.
This guy, as far as I'm concerned, he defaced my daughter. Nobody wants to take responsibility for the fact that a 30-something-year-old man has tattooed not one, but more than one child who is under the age of 16.
In the basement of his house.
In the basement of his house.
The mother says the daughter was tattooed by an underground artist named Douglas Hughes, who sports a colorful array of tattoos himself. Hughes claims he only tattoos teens with their parents' permission. Now VIHA is getting involved with a cease and desist order against the ink artist. VIHA says it wants to inspect the premises, saying unlicensed tattoo artists can put customers' health at risk.
You can even get a fungal infection thrown in on top of that, and some of the worst ones, people have actually got a crop of warts on top of their tattoos, so I wouldn't suggest it. But just think what you're going to look like about 25 years from now when that dragon more looks like a toad on your stomach.
Sparky Adamson runs a popular tattoo shop in Victoria and undergoes regular required health inspections. He refuses to do teens' tattoos, even if parents are present.
It's an adult activity, and I just don't like to tattoo people that aren't sort of legally an adult. I think it's kind of a rite of passage thing. I think it's something that people should have to wait to be able to do.
As for the tattoo artist, Douglas Hughes, he claims he did not do the tattoo in question. The mother, by the way, has since grounded her daughter. Well, we've had some sun, we've had some rain. Flowers are now popping up all around Greater Victoria, and with spring just around the corner officially, the flower count is climbing fast. So far, more than 633 million blooms have been blossomed and been counted, and you have just one more day to get yours tallied. The flower count officially closes at 4 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. This year's tally is more than double the number of flowers counted last year. 2011 was a down year for the flower count, though, due to the cold weather. The city says we still have a long way to go to beat the record. 2010, we saw more than 21 billion blooms counted. To add yours to the blossom count, go to flowercount.ca. Saanich police say it was a close call after an elderly man withdrew nearly $40,000 from his bank account. A Coast Capital Savings employee at the Shelburne and Cedar Hill Crossroad branch spotted the sham when the man tried to withdraw the large amount of cash for a distant relative. The teller stopped the transaction, suggested it may be fraud, then reported it to the manager. Police say the couple had been duped by a woman who was calling, pretending to be their niece in Germany, in tears, begging for money. Even convinced them not to tell their family. The couple says they were convinced that the fraudster was a distant relative who desperately needed help. Fortunately, they didn't get burned.
CTV News, Vancouver Island Report.
Good evening. Thousands of teachers, many from Vancouver Island, converged on the legislature today to rally against the government and Bill 22. They came by car and by ferry and by bus. They came from Nanaimo and Ladysmith, the Cowichan and Comox valleys, and from all over the province. They were unified and they stood firm, demanding that the government come back to the table and negotiate a fair deal. It's day 2 of the province-wide teachers' strike, and emotions are running high. Teachers in Greater Victoria began their day early, setting up secondary picket lines outside a number of unionized employers, including government offices. They handed out leaflets in the morning informing workers they had the right to refuse to cross, and most did refuse. From there, the teachers gathered in Centennial Square in Victoria, where they rallied and then marched onto the legislature. And they were joined by busloads of teachers from north of the Malahat.
Bill 22, it's ridiculous class size and composition rules that they're trying to put through, making it so much more difficult for teachers and for the students more than anything. That's why we're here.
Because we're all feeling the same thing. We want our kids to have a choice.
The teachers who traveled to Victoria to take part in the rally today say the trip was important. They were here to make their point. They say the government is treating them unfairly and is jeopardizing your children's education.
For our members, I know class size and composition is at the forefront, but we're also looking at a fair wage increase, local bargaining for local solutions, and we hope today, something like today, will send a strong message to the government.
Hoping that he rethinks their plan, that they think that teachers are worthwhile, that we are doing a service, that we are working hard.
The province went to the Labour Relations Board today, arguing that the pickets the teachers put up were illegal. The unions have reassured the LRB and the government that there will be no further secondary picketing, so the hearing has been adjourned. The strike continues tomorrow. Teachers are expected back in their classrooms on Thursday.